Hi, this is George LeMieux, Chairman of the Board of the Gunster Law Firm on Gunster's View from the Top, and we're joined this week with my friend, Representative Chip LaMarca, former City Commissioner in the beautiful city of Lighthouse Point, former County Commissioner in Broward County, God's country as we like to call it, and now for many terms, State Representative representing Broward County in the Florida Legislature. Welcome, Chip.
Thank you, Senator. It's great to be with you.
We're catching you in the middle of the session. I know you just came off of the floor where we're having a debate on what's called the COVID liability shield. You know, I'm part of Tax Watch, happen to be their chairman this year, and we've been advocating and doing some research on the importance of this COVID liability shield. Can you talk a little bit about that shield?
Yes. So obviously, there's a couple things that are going on here. One is more on the medical side of businesses that were affected by COVID, and the other is more your traditional retail businesses, if you will. And these two bills came together with the Senate and the House. And what it is really is a liability protection. It's a, as you mentioned, shield. Basically, a business would have had to follow all of the current protocols and go through as much as they can to keep people safe. And this would basically be a shield from runaway litigation that we believe that many lawyers are great, and there are some that just like any other profession that create a cottage industry out of loopholes in the law. And we didn't want a once in a 100-year pandemic to become an opportunity for people to make these cases and really kind of drag these businesses down. And coming out of this, we have to protect our businesses. If they've done the right thing by their patrons and our residents and neighbors, then we need to make sure that we protect them.
So Chip, if a business has followed guidelines for how to operate safely, that'll give them some protection against frivolous lawsuits, as I understand it. Is that correct?
Correct. And also with assisted living and nursing homes and those other types of places that we all trust to keep our relatives safe, and the vast majority, and certainly in Broward County and in Florida, have done an excellent job. Certainly, I don't want to point any other states out, but we've seen where if you don't do it the right way, you can really cause some damage.
I want to talk to you about something I know that's very important to you that we care a lot about here in Florida, especially Southeast Florida, and that's resiliency. We're concerned about the changes in climate. We're concerned about king tides that flood us here in the fall. What is the Florida legislature doing to address that issue?
Excellent question, Senator. So we've got a couple of, there's a large bill coming out of committee. I have a bill called Resiliency. It's House Bill 315. What my bill does is establishes in statute the Chief Resiliency Officer and the Chief Science Officer under the governor's office, and there would be a task force for sea level rise, how to implement and fold into really infrastructure projects and future business projects in our communities. For example, in Broward County, we would follow these models on how we're going to build new buildings and if we're going to do residential or commercial building. And then the larger package really has quite a few things in it with respect to funding mechanisms for septic to sewer, dealing with the bigger resiliency picture of, as you mentioned, sea level rise, projects that might be seawall, raising seawalls, raising other standards. So, look, I think we're finally at a point where this is not a political football back and forth. We're all saying climate change and resiliency. We know it exists. We're going to tackle it like good free market Floridians, and we're going to go out there and make sure that as we continue to have a steady flow of people from other states moving to Florida, there will be a safe and resilient community long into the future.
Representative, what do you think the funding will be for that resiliency effort from the state?
Well, the governor's announced a $1 billion individual fund that he had talked about for a lot of these projects. I think a lot of this has to come into alignment. Certainly, one piece of this could be through our one of our trust funds that has always been talked about being fully funded versus swept. We're looking at a compromise, for example, in affordable and workforce housing, where we can have a piece of that go to make sure that the infrastructure is in place and we have a resilient community before we can even build additional housing. So it could be through those trust funds, multiple trust funds, and also some additional funding the governor has allocated.
Chip, I saw that you filed some legislation concerning gaming in Florida. We have an interesting situation where we have the Seminole tribe. I can look out my back window here and see the Guitar Hotel not too far away. We've got pari-mutuels like Gulfstream, which is a beautiful historic racetrack. But there's issues right now with the compact not being fully in effect due to some litigation, and talks about renegotiating a new compact, potentially adding sports betting, potentially adding internet gaming. Can you tell us where those discussions stand in the Florida legislature?
Well, I think it's safe for me to say that the bigger discussion is a little above my pay grade as far as, sitting down with the tribe and whatnot. Speaker, the Senate president, and the governor, and their immediate teams. But what we've done is been very aware of in my office that there is a compact, and it hopefully that can come back together, because right now the tribe is operating outside of the compact because their argument is that it's not been followed, and so that's going on. At the same time, there's always talks of expanding gaming. We know we have Amendment 3 on one hand, we have the compact on the other. So what we did is we said, well, we have this thing called legal sports wagering. It's going on in other states. We know it's going on in Florida, and unfortunately, we know it's going on probably outside of the normal boundaries of the law. We'll say it that way. And ultimately, people are storing money in Eastern European countries or in the Caribbean, and that's how they're getting around the laws. What we want to do is bring it back on land here, bring it to Florida. So whether you're who does this in New Jersey or in Costa Rica, we want to make sure that if you're going to do sports wagering and it's within the confines of a new law we want to pass, that it would go through the DBPR to license. We've come up with some fees and a structure. I don't believe it's expanding gaming under Amendment 3, and we don't believe that it would affect the compact because the compact does not include that as of right now. We would love to have the tribe in as part of that if we were able to pass something like this. And from a standpoint of why we don't believe it's a conflict or illegal to Amendment 3 is sports wagering or betting on sports is a game of skill, not of chance, and it doesn't happen within the four walls of a building like a casino. It happens somewhere offsite in a sports arena. So we've gone through some legal arguments from some folks in the industry. Daniel Wallach's an attorney that we talked to. We've talked to some folks up here. I know I sat down with some of your folks and just kind of went through the finer points of it. So we believe it would be something that could happen in the state of Florida. We're going to push to try to get a hearing on it, and certainly it's something that I would even consider, kind of a multi-year project if it doesn't get where we want to this year.
Well, that's a really good point to make. Most folks don't know that it usually to do big things, takes more than 1 year in the Florida legislature. So you have to kind of plant your flag and keep moving, sure. Right? Well, correct. Representative LaMarca, thank you so much for joining us on Gunster's View from the Top. We look forward to hearing about the results of the legislative session, and we're really grateful for your service to all the people of Florida.
George, thank you very much, and it's always good to be with you and to be able to speak to the people in our community, especially when you're up here in Tallahassee and you miss home. So thanks for having me on.
Thanks so much. Take care, Chip.
You too.